that you effed up really bad and now you're feeling bad about yourself because of it. So let's say you are a business owner or you're an employee and you make a mistake. You make a big mistake and you feel like absolute shit about it. Here's the thing. Our emotions dictate the reality that we are experiencing. So if you allow one situation where you made a mistake to change your whole mood and energy for the rest of the day and maybe even the rest of the week, maybe this thing really, really got to you. You are only hurting yourself and your future progress in that area. What you need to do is take accountability for your mistake, rectify the situation as best as possible, try to reconcile the situation, and then you move on. You don't stay in that energy for the rest of the day. You don't feel like, oh my gosh, and you dwell on it and you go over it over and over again in your head. This is something I'm definitely guilty of. If I do something, if I make a mistake or whatever, I will think about it over and over and over again, and I will feel so bad about it, and I will try as much as I can to push the energy towards fixing it and solving it and helping people feel better about the mistake. But the truth is, with the way that the energy in the world works, the more that you obsess about something, the more that you intentionally try to push, push, push and make it better, the worse that outcome is going to be. In reality, people are going to have whatever reactions that they're going to have to your mistake. And sometimes those reactions can cause us to feel even worse about what we did, when in reality, everything is like neutral. Everything is neutral. So here's this thing that you did. It wasn't great. And that's it. Someone else could interpret it and be like, oh, well, we've had the holidays going on and people haven't been working and people haven't been doing, so it's all good. Or they could be like, oh my gosh, this took so long. This was so horrible. This is blah, blah, and have all these negative assumptions about it. Or let's say someone misinterprets a message you send or something that you say. They could react and say, oh, what did you mean by that? Or could you clarify this? Or oh, I thought it was this. Can you clarify for me? Or they could react based on the assumption that they're making and blow up about it and be like, oh my gosh, this is a huge deal and it's all your fault. So regardless of whatever reaction that someone else has towards you, understand that there's always two different ways to think about a situation. So, no one way to think about the situation is correct. And this is what gives us freedom and power of expression to express ourselves differently, think differently. So, if someone is reacting in this bad way, but something called law of polarity exists where every opposite, it has a reaction to it. So yin and yang. So bad reaction, negative reaction. Every single statement has a positive or a negative to it. And that's the law of polarity. That's the way that the world works. So if someone is choosing to go down the bad path and it's causing you to feel a certain way, understand that they are choosing that energy. They are choosing that negative side of the yin and yang. That is how they're operating their life in. And this is difficult because a lot of people are operating their life in that way. You don't see a lot of awakened individuals who have, positive, uplifted perspectives on things. That's not really the baseline of the humans that, you could be dealing with. So the point is, if you make a mistake, own up to it, take accountability, rectify the situation, but do not dwell in it. Do not feel bad. Understand that, okay, I'm going to take different actions next time. This is an opportunity for me to live a better future because now I know the actions I took were wrong and now I'm going to take new actions. So it's not something to harp on, it's not something to feel bad about. It's actually like this beautiful, signaling from a higher power that is taking us to a new path. So it's not so much there to make you feel like SHIT about yourself. It's more so there as a steering, and it'll steer you in the direction that you should be going and the actions that you should be taking. And if someone else is choosing that negative yin and yang path, realize that they're choosing that, but do not adopt the energy of that person, and it'll cause you to go down that negative yin and yang path. I know this is like a little bit technical, but I hope this makes sense. So always keep your energy up. Always see situations as an opportunity for growth and expansion of consciousness, and do not dwell on negative emotion. Our emotions show up on our appearance. They show up on our face. They show up in our body language. They show up in the way that we speak, in the way that we carry ourselves. So if you've ever seen someone who, looks like they're not doing too well, or the way that they enter a room is not very confident, that's all directly tied to the emotions that they're experiencing. When you see someone who's like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy, life is so good, uplifted. See, when I smile, I look better. When I smile and when I bring that positive energy to the room, you want to look at me more, you want to be around me more. But when I'm like, oh my God, like I can't believe I did that. Oh, I just feel so bad. You don't want to be around that, okay? So 2025 is the season of positive energy. This is our life to live. So why would we choose to live a life where we are unhappy, feeling negative, in bad energy? You made a mistake, so what? The world is so big. And here's the thing. Here is the thing. This will blow your mind, okay? So I remember a few years ago, I made a little mistake. Like it was not a big deal. And the person reacted as if it was a huge deal, right? They started yelling and screaming and cursing, and I was like, whoa, what's going on here? And the thing is, people learn their reactions and their behaviors from their upbringing and from what they've seen. So if people see other unhealed people, they're going to act unhealed. I was so shocked by this because no one's ever yelled at me. I don't think I did anything to merit this person yelling at me, right? Because my understanding and my baseline is very calm, rational discussion, accountability, apologies, moving on, and that's it. But this person did not have that baseline in their lives. So that's why they reacted that way. And listen to me very carefully right now. Their reaction does not equal the degree at which you messed up. Their reaction equals their inability to properly process their emotions. So you may think that when someone blows up at you and they're yelling and screaming, that, oh, this means I did something really, really bad, right? And that's not always the case. Because if I were to tell you this story, any normal human person would be like, wait, that's like so weird. Why did that person react that way? Like, that's actually like strange. Like, there's something wrong with them. Okay, so step outside of your head for a second, step outside of yourself, look at the situation objectively, and realize people's reactions are not the degree to which you messed up. People's reactions are the lack of emotional, like, housekeeping that they do, is the best word, really. And I hope this helps because sometimes we really, really, really beat ourselves up when in reality it's not a big deal. People make mistakes all of the time. And ask yourself, if someone did this to me, sure, maybe I'd be like a little bit annoyed, but I wouldn't act that way or say that thing or do that thing, right? Because I'm healed. I know how to regulate myself. Never going to blame something on someone else. And life is really intended for us to decide how we want to feel. So don't allow these situations where, oh my gosh, I feel so bad that I did this thing, blah, blah, blah. No, just realize the mistake you made, take a new action, take the accountability, and move on. Because if you stay in that energy, you are going to attract more and more of that energy. I hope this was helpful, guys. If you're feeling like SHIT about yourself right now, I just don't want to say the word. If you're feeling that way about yourself right now, stop it. Okay? These situations are lessons. They're not intended to make us feel horrible for the rest of the day or the rest of the week, but they are intended for us to go inward. They are intended for us to realize, what got me into this situation? What thinking happened in this reality that caused this certain outcome for me? And when you can get to the root of that, you can stop the cycle. Okay? Thank you so much for listening.